Welcome to Inside Texas Tech. I'm your host, Robert Giovannetti. A lot of great Red Raiders came down to talk to all the legislators, tell them all the great things going on in the Texas Tech University system. One of those legislators who not only helped get this thing going, but also heard from his constituents is Senator Bob Duncan. He is a Red Raider himself. The chancellor sat down with him. Let's take a look.
Let's talk a little about the budget process. Last session, we were cut about $67 million, and yet system-wide we had about 2,000 more students. This year, it looks to me like it's going to be a lot better. And if you could elaborate on that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I think you're right. Because of the robust economy that we've had in Texas, really due primarily to oil and gas exploration, we're going to have actually more money in the budget than we can constitutionally spend. Higher ed took harder cuts during the recession than just about any other agency in the state. So I think this session we're working hard in our working groups and in our subcommittees to restore some of the general revenue that's lost. My preference is to put a lot of it in the formula because that helps schools like Tech that are growing. And the formula funding basically helps to fund faculty and helps the institutions like Tech to be able to lower the ratio of faculty to student. It also helps keep tuition down. If we can keep money going into the formula, it gives us some opportunities to be more conservative with regard to tuition increases. The other thing that's very important is because of the economy, we haven't been able to do a lot in capital improvements. Tech's done pretty well over the years, but we need some, as you know, and as you have requested, a science research building,
Right.
As well as we've got other campuses in the Tech system, the Health Science Center, that are long overdue research buildings and classroom buildings. And so we're looking at El Paso, Odessa, Amarillo, and Lubbock and Abilene all as having capital needs, and hopefully we'll be able to meet some, not all, but some of those needs this session. Y'all have done a great job at Tech in prioritizing, and Tech is really appreciated down here among the members about the way we handle our budget process, the way you guys present it, and the way you come up with your priorities, which are always clear, and the priorities are well defined with regard to their purpose, and that being to forward the higher education mission of the university.
Senator, let's talk just briefly about, you passed some legislation in the past that set up a National Research University Fund and also TRIP Fund. And talk about those two because they are really important to Texas Tech.
Well, when I first got into office in '93, I really wanted to bust the PUF Fund. The PUF Fund, of course, is that fund that UT and A&M enjoy. They get about $100 and something million a year off. And I kept trying to bust it, and I just couldn't get enough votes to do it. So I thought, well, why don't we just create our own? And that's what we did. There was a stranded fund over about $500 million, $500 million, that we had located that wasn't being used for anything. It was in a higher ed strategy, but it was not constitutionally able to be used. So we basically filed a constitutional amendment, and the voters approved moving that fund into the National Research University Fund, where institutions compete to get in. Once you get into that fund, it's yours. I mean, the money is yours. So we're getting right now, because of the good work Tech has done, you're getting $7 to $8 million a year that you'll get forever. It'll probably just get greater as a result as that fund grows. So that's for research. The TRIP Fund, which was a part of that legislative agenda back in 2009,
Right.
when we were trying to improve Texas' competitive ability in research in the country, in the world. And the TRIP Fund was a great idea because we put $50 million in the budget and allow the institutions to compete for that money based on matching gifts. So it gives you the ability to go out to your donors or to industry and say, look, if you'll give us $5 million for this project, we can get another $5 and we can do a $10 million project. Tech probably has been the most successful. You guys have done a great job of being able to put together the right packages to make that work. We had to cut that last session because everything got cut down to $35 million. We're going to probably hopefully move that back up to at least $50 million this session, and we'll be back on track with TRIP. Trip attracts a lot of dollars. And it's a very good investment for the state because it's a 100% return on the investment.
Yeah, if someone gives between $2 million and $10 million, then the state matches it. And the gift's got to be for research. It's got to be for fellowships, which are scholarships in graduate school. Things that will allow us, through research, to have create new ideas that create new jobs. And that's been great for us. But there's about a $50 million backlog in the TRIP fund as it is now. So I'm hoping.
I've been arguing about that and trying to get some people to say, well, look, since we cut it actually $15 million last time, we ought to maybe do a little additional supplemental this time to be able to pick up the backlog, which is, again, it's a 100% return on the investment. But the good thing about all these research programs, I think, is that they really require quality. This isn't just another fund that basically goes into the university and supports these funds, the NRUF, for example, to be in the NRUF, you have to do things that make you competitive nationally.
Like being having a Phi Beta Kappa chapter.
And having good quality faculty.
And an outstanding library, and we qualified for that. We were the first ones to qualify for that. And that legislation that you wrote and passed was so important, and I cannot thank you enough.
Well, what I just like about it is the institutions, you're competing for quality. And quality is, when taxpayers invest money in higher education, that's what they expect. And I think as we showed today on the Senate floor, Texas Tech has competed and can compete with any institution in this state with regard to our academic competitions, how well our students are doing, as well as how well we're doing in developing competitive research programs.
The law school, we just had a rating that came back from law school. Tell me about that.
We are now number 9 by the Texas Justice Foundation. I believe it's the name of it's a major national organization in the quality of our law school. And that's huge. Our law school has always been, for whatever reason, from the day it started, we were producing, I think our first graduating class was number 1 on bar passage back in the 70s. And we've competed nationally, won national moot court. We compete with Harvard, Yale, Princeton. I mean, our guys y'all are doing a great job. And those kinds of things, in my view, are very important about how we evaluate our university. And if you look at not just law school, look over at the ag school with the livestock judging team, the meats judge. We have we're kind of like the Notre Dame or UCLA or USC of these academic competitions around the country. This university, Texas Tech, is known for its ability to be competitive academically, especially in these competitions.
Thank you, Chancellor Hansen. Thank you, Senator Duncan. Interesting fact about that interview, it took place in Senator Duncan's office, the very office where Chancellor Hansen used to sit when he was a state senator many years ago. All right, coming up, we're going to visit with a Red Raider, Megan Weaver. She's making things happen here in Austin herself. In just a little bit, we'll hear from Representative Drew Darby from San Angelo. We'll do all that on Inside Texas Tech after this.